Toy Story 5 has officially hit theaters. Actually, it's almost been out for a week. This is a little bit of a late review. So, as a kid, I was never really a massive fan of the Toy Story films. I can say I liked them, but I never really loved them like I know a lot of people did. A few weeks ago, I rewatched them in preparation for this film, and I ended up loving them. Does this one live up to the newfound love? Well, I have a lot of praise to give and one big complaint. And getting that complaint out of the way, I feel like this film is very overstuffed. The first four films in the Toy Story franchise only really have one or two plot lines going on at a time, but this film has three. Of course, you have the main one, which is Toys versus Tech, and then you have Jessie, who gets lost and kind of does her own thing, and then you got a whole Buzz Lightyear army going on their own adventure. And yeah, it's not just overstuffed with plot lines, but also characters. You see, the first Toy Story film only really focused on Buzz and Woody, and also fleshed out the whole original gang. Toy Story 2 added Jessie and Bullseye. Toy Story 3 had a bunch of other toys, but only really focused on the main group. And Toy Story 4 is where it got a bit crazy. First off, the cast basically doubled with all of Bonnie's toys, and then they added Forky, and then they brought Bo Peep back, and then there was a couple toys from the carnival, as well as like a million other toys from the place they were staying at. And now we're at the fifth one, where they're still adding characters. And so some of the old gang, like Rex, or Slinky, or the Potato Heads, or Ham, they're all getting sidelined and they only really had one or two lines in this film. And so that's the big complaint I have with this film. Now let's move on to the positives. So first off, obviously this is a Toy Story film, it's very fun, while also having emotional segments. Something else I wanted to mention was the animation. The animation compared to Toy Story 1, of course, that's not even comparable. Toy Story 1 came out 31 years ago, but just comparing Toy Story 5's animation to Toy Story 4, which came out in 2019, they've definitely made some great decisions here that weren't made in Toy Story 4, especially when it comes to Bonnie's playing time. They use watercolors and that looks incredible. And I know I've just spent a whole minute criticizing how many characters there are, but I do think the characters that get to shine in this film are really well done. The main villain here is an iPad, and I think it is really well done. Of course, the main concept here is toys versus tech, and I really liked how it wasn't just black and white, toys good, tech bad, and it showed us how tech can be used for good and bad. Should they make a sixth Toy Story film? I'm gonna say yes. Sure, it should have ended at three, but they made a fourth one, then they made this fifth one, and it carried on being quality, as well as improving on the animation and having something to say about the world at the moment. So if they do make a sixth one and it carries on being this quality and it has something to say, I'll say absolutely. If they do end up deciding to make a Toy Story 6, which they probably will because this film is definitely going to make a lot of money. Side note, I went to the cinema to see this on 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, and that might just be the most packed cinema I've ever been to. So anyway, when they do end up deciding to make Toy Story 6, I hope it gives a clear conclusion to Bonnie's story like they did with Andy, as well as focusing on a little core group of characters and giving them a nice ending, as well as somehow wrapping up everyone else's story. And I'll be honest, as long as they keep up the quality, I don't care if they carry on after 6. That might be a hot take. But anyway, those are just my thoughts on Toy Story 5. I'd love to hear yours.